Hello and welcome to the Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why, and how of newspaper reading. Today we are going to analyze various important issues appearing in Delhi's edition of the Hindu newspaper dated 29 June 2019. The news to be covered are given on the screen and corresponding timestamps can be found in description as well as comment section below. Now let's begin with our today's discussion. So here we have a news item appearing on page number 24 titled NASA to send a drone to Saturn's largest moon, that is Titan. Now, this topic is really important for our prelims exam as well as General Studies Paper 3 mains under Science and Technology, as well as for General Studies Paper 3 mains under Science and Technology, especially Space Technology. It was in the Civil Services Prelims exam of the year 2014, the question appeared which read, which of the following pairs are correctly matched? On one side, they gave various spacecrafts which were launched by NASA. On the other side, we had their purpose. So the first pair was Cassini-Huygens orbiting the Venus and transmitting data to the Earth. Well, this spacecraft was sent to Titan, which is there in the news. The second pair was Messenger, mapping and investigating the Mercury, which was correct. And the third pair was Voyager 1 and 2, exploring the outer solar system. Now here, statement B, that is 2 and 3 was correct. So keeping this question into mind, the topic which has arrived in the newspaper becomes even more important for our civil services examination. Now let us start our discussion with Saturn, which is 6th planet from Sun, and it is the second largest planet in solar system after Jupiter. Well, in brief, we can see who exactly discovered this planet. It was in 17th century. Various astronomers unraveled various layers regarding this planet. Initially, it was Galileo Galilei who was the first to spot this, and then we have Christian Huygens, who was using a bit more powerful telescope than Galileo's, and then we had John Domenico Cassini. It was these astronomers who discovered various rings which surround the planet, which has been shown in the figure. Moreover, it has around 52 known natural satellites, which can be called moons, and Saturn's largest moon is called Titan. In fact, this is the second largest moon or natural satellite in the solar system, which is just behind Ganymede, which is the moon of Jupiter. Now, the question is, what exactly is so special about Titan that an elaborate probe is being sent over there? Well, it is the only celestial body in our solar system other than Earth which has liquid rivers, lakes, and seas on its surface. However, these contain hydrocarbons such as methane and ethane and not the water, but scientists and astronomers are very curious to know more about the planet because they think that there can be existence of life here. And this is the reason Dragonfly is being sent there in order to know more about this moon Titan. Let's now have a brief look at the various missions which have been sent in order to study Saturn as well as its moons. Well, it was in 1980s, Voyager spacecraft sent by NASA photographed Saturn. In fact, they also revealed that its rings were made up of water ice. The most important chapter in this is Cassini-Huygens mission, where it was launched in the year 1997, and it was only after 2004 that Cassini and Huygens were able to reach Saturn. Well, Cassini is an orbiter, whereas Huygens was lander, and it was in the year 2005 that this lander Huygens landed on the surface of Titan. Well, it was the first ever landing of such spacecraft on the surface of Titan. On the other hand, Cassini has orbited Saturn so many times and understood a lot about the planet as well as its moons. Finally, it was in the year 2017 that this mission came to an end, when the Cassini orbiter burnt itself and we lost the contact with the mission. This is how the idea of sending another mission came up. Now, let us shift our focus to Dragonfly mission, which is in the news. Well, it is a rotor craft which is being planned by NASA and it would be going to Titan. However, it would be launched around 2026 and it would reach Titan around 2034. Well, it would be flying through the dense atmosphere of Titan, which is around 4 times denser as compared to the atmosphere we have on the Earth. It will have 8 rotors that will operate in 4 pair. Well, the best part of it is that it will be powered by multi-mission radioisotope thermoelectric generator. During the day, the robo will fly by battery power, and at the night, MMRTG will recharge its batteries. Scientists have chosen a site called Shangri-La Dunes, which is present near equator on Titan. Well, this site is similar to the various sand dunes which we also have in Africa, especially in Namibia, and this is also a main reason why this site has been chosen. The main thing which the scientists want to find there is the evidence of life. However, other than that, it will also investigate Titan's atmosphere, surface, and various other properties of the reservoirs which are present over there. One important thing which you should know here is about MMRTG, that is multi-mission radioisotope thermoelectric generator. Well, these MMRTGs convert heat which is obtained from the natural decay of radioisotope into electricity. And that is how they would be powering this rotorcraft on the surface of Titan. So here we have a picture under the title Pilgrim's Progress, which appears on page number 7. Well, the picture is about an annual march by a sect called Varkaris who would be reaching Pandharpur to celebrate Ashadi Ekadasi. Well, this sect is really important from preliminary as well as mains point of view under history and culture. It was in the year 2017 that a question appeared in Civil Services Prelims exam which included this sect, that is Vari Varkaris. Well, the question was match the following. On one side traditions were given, on the other side communities associated with traditions were given. Well, the first pair read Chalisa Sahib Festival Sindhis, the second was Nandraj Yatra by Gonds, and the third was Vari Varkaris by Santhals. Well, the third statement is wrong as Vari Varkari is by Varkari sect. So we can eliminate C and B. On the other hand, Chalisa Sahib festival is celebrated by Sindhis. Hence, A, that is one only, is the right answer. Since this question has appeared recently in the prelims examination, this makes this sect even more important for our discussion. It basically relates to various saints of Bhakti movement which started in Maharashtra. Well, it was between 13th to 17th century. Maharashtra saw emergence of various saints who wrote a lot of songs. Various important saints include Gyaneshwar, Namdev, Eknath and Tukaram. This movement was basically against all kinds of ritualism. In fact, they also disregarded the rigidities of caste system which was prevalent at that time. In fact, various saints which include Janeshwar, Namdev, Eknath and Tukaram, they were devotees of Lord Vithala. He is also known as Vithoba. And it was this devotion for Lord Vithoba or Vithala which gave rise to Varkari sect, which lay emphasis on an annual pilgrimage to Pandharpur. Well, in Pandharpur, there is a temple which is devoted to Vithala or Vithoba, who is also regarded as incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Well, the cult of Vithala emerged as a powerful mode of devotion and has been very popular among the people of this region. Now, you know the origin of Varkari sect. Where is it based? It is based in Maharashtra. It revolves around the devotion to Lord Vithala or Vithoba, and various saints associated are Tukaram, Eknath, Namdev, Janeshwar. Well, there is a devotional poetry which is sung in praise of Lord Vithala, which is also known as Abhangas. So now, this poetry is associated with Lord Vithala, and Tukaram is credited with composing this poetry. Another very important thing about this Varkari sect is it also emphasizes on moral behavior, which include strict avoidance of alcohol as well as tobacco. Now, we are going to discuss about this annual pilgrimage which has been shown in the picture published in today's newspaper, around which we are holding our entire discussion. Well, Varkari people undertake this annual pilgrimage which is also known as Wari to Pandharpur. As we've already discussed, they have got a temple devoted to Lord Vithala or Vithoba at Pandharpur. There, they gather on Ekadashi, which is also 11th day of Hindu calendar in the month of Ashad. Well, this year it is falling on 12th of July. Pilgrims carry palkis devoted to saints. However, a tradition of carrying padukas or sandals of saints in a palki, that is, palanquin, was started by youngest son of Tukaram called Narayan Maharaj in 17th century. Moreover, another pilgrimage is also celebrated on Ekadashi in the month of Kartika, which falls in November. Now, we would also be discussing various Hindu months and corresponding months of Gregorian calendar. Here, as you can see, we have month of Chat, which starts around 22nd March. Then we have Vesak, 21st April. Then we have Jesht, Ashad, that is which we are discussing as of now. June 22nd is the date around which it starts. Then we have Shravan, which is also known as Savan. Then Bhadrapad, Ashwin, Kartik. We have got Margshrisha, Posh, Magh and Falgun. Well, the corresponding starting date of each month have been given on this side, which is there in the Gregorian calendar which we use. Well, here we have a question which appeared in year 2014 and reads, Chaitra 1 of national calendar based on Saka era corresponds to which of the following dates from Gregorian calendar in normal 365 days? Well, now Chaitra 1 is here, that is, it starts on March 22nd. So now we've got various options and we know 22nd March is the right option. It can't be May, it can't be 31st March, it can't be 21st April. So even from your prelims point of view, these months become important because they have been asked before and there is a chance they can be asked again. So we have not only discussed about Varkari sect and their various dimensions, we have also discussed another dimension which have already appeared in prelims exam of a previous year. So here we have this news item appearing on page number 10, which reads, Things to do to avoid another water crisis. This topic is important for your mains examination under GS paper 1 relating to the topic of urbanization and various problems and issues associated with it. The article mentions about the extreme water crisis in metropolitan cities in general and Chennai in particular. Moreover, it also focuses on the need of rainwater harvesting, which needs to be done in various residential as well as commercial buildings. It also makes a mention of water governance, which has been highlighted by a report published by Niti Aayog. Let us start our discussion with the very basic aspect of rainwater harvesting. Well, it refers to the collection and storage of rainwater. This water can either be recharged directly, that is, it can be sent to the ground so that it recharges the groundwater, or it can be stored. So now, in case you want to store, you need a tank like you can see in the figure. It can be either on the terrace or on the ground. Focusing on the various components of rainwater harvesting, initially you need a catchment area. So now catchment area is the area from which you are capturing the water. Here, the terrace is the catchment area. And then you have got conveyance system which is carrying this water. Here you can see various pipes which are working as this conveyance system. And then you need a flush and a filter. The flush would be flushing out the first spell of rain because it may contain some impurities, and then you have got a filter to remove all the pollutants so that the water which you store is free from such pollutants. Lastly, a storage tank is needed, and at the same time you also need various recharge structures. Like here you can see there is a well which is recharging this groundwater, and hence it would help in maintaining adequate level of groundwater. Now, we shall be focusing on various suggestions to solve this prevailing water crisis as highlighted by the author in the article. The first and the foremost thing is related to the governance. Well, it has been said that metropolitan cities can set up a body called Urban Water Planning and Management Board, which would regulate the supply, demand, and maintenance of water services and structure. Well, this body can act as both facilitator as well as regulator. Secondly, various authorities shall monitor and regulate groundwater supply in metropolitan areas. Here again, this body called Urban Water Planning and Management Board can play a important role. Next, it has been said that In the coastal cities, desalination plant, that is a plant which convert seawater to potable water, that is a water which is fit for drinking, should be set up. Desalination plants are very common in the countries of Gulf, especially Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar. However, the only problem which these plants face is high electricity consumption. Hence, they consume a lot of energy in order to convert seawater to potable water. Next, it says that the bed of existing lakes can be deepened for greater water storage. At the same time, they would also help in better recharge of groundwater by increased water percolation. At the same time, this body, Urban Water Planning and Management Board, can act as a regulator as well as facilitator in this case also. Next, the government can also apply a water tariff which is on the lines of electricity tariff, and at the same time a differential pricing can be applied to the people from different income groups. Again here this body can play a very good role. Last but not the least, we can also learn from the example of Cape Town's zero day. Now, what is zero day? Well, it refers to a day when most of the city taps will be switched off. That is, there would be no water left in the city for the consumption by the people. Hence, every metropolitan city should have a proper zero day so that people have in their mind that they have to conserve water and at the same time minimize its wastage. The National Institute for Transforming India (IOG), that is Niti Aayog, has come up with a composite water management index. It's a major step towards creating a culture of data-based decision making of water in India. It is going to increase competitive as well as cooperative federalism in country with respect to water governance and management. It is the first time such an index has been developed in India. This index is expected to, firstly, establish a clear baseline and benchmark for state level performance on key indicators. Secondly, it would also explain how states have progressed on the water issues over time, and at the same time it would identify who have performed well and who have underperformed. At the same time, it would also identify areas where these states can engage in order to evolve this idea of water governance. Here is a map which is in the Niti Aayog's report, and it points out towards the states which have good, medium as well as bad water resource management. Here you can have a look. In the low score, that is the states where the water management is not good, include Rajasthan, Haryana, UP, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Assam, and a few states of Northeast, including Sikkim. Where you have got good water governance practices going, include Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Andhra Pradesh. Whereas various medium scoring states are Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Maharashtra, Telangana, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Tripura. So, Tripura is the only state in Northeast which is in the medium category. However, for many states in the Northeast, the data is not available, including the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, we shall be focusing on various broad themes into which the indicators of the water index have been grouped. The very first thing is restoration and augmentation of water bodies. Well, these water bodies may include ponds and various lakes. These water bodies need to be desilted properly so that the water capacity in them is improved, and at the same time the water level of that area is also maintained, which will lead to the augmentation of groundwater aspect. This dimension again is very important for us. Thirdly, we have major and medium irrigation. This basically relates to the supply side management of irrigation. That is, when we are focusing on the irrigation, we have to make sure that there is least wastage of that, there is very less wastage of water. For example, we can go for drip irrigation or micro irrigation practices. Next, we have watershed development. Well, it relates to conservation, regeneration, and judicious use of various resources present in watershed area. Next, we have participatory irrigation practices. Now, Participatory irrigation practices relates to the involvement of various cooperatives who are basically managing various irrigation infrastructure. For example, a cooperative can maintain the canal network. Moreover, it can also expand irrigated area and make sure everybody get their just share of water. Moreover, rehabilitation of existing canal network through stakeholders participation can also be done under participatory irrigation practices. Next, we have sustainable on-farm water use practices. At the same time, as we have already discussed, drip irrigation and micro irrigation can be used in order to minimize evaporation losses. Next, rural drinking water is also a big concern which has been focused under this index. In the similar way, urban water supply, which also relates to sanitation. And last is policy and governance, which will act as a bedrock on which all these indicators would be resting. In this backdrop, let's have a look at these schemes. The first one is Nal Se Jal scheme. Well, it aims to provide piped drinking water to every rural household by 2024. On the other hand, Jal Shakti Abhiyan would be accelerating various activities which are already being undertaken under various schemes. Well, these activities are water harvesting, conservation, recharging of borewell, water body restoration, afforestation schemes, and other such schemes which are being undertaken by Jal Shakti Ministry as well as Environment Ministry under Government of India. This topic of Jal Shakti Abhiyan has been covered comprehensively in the DNS dated 27 June 2019 and it can be referred for enhanced clarity on this scheme. Well, these were various dimensions which we had to cover associated with that article. Now we move on to the next news. Here we have an article appearing on page number 1 which reads Proposal on electric vehicle is well thought out. Well, this news item relates to transition from internal combustion engines, that is diesel and petrol engines, to electric vehicles. This topic is important under GS paper 3 from the perspective of Indian economy. Well, Niti Aayog has proposed for a transition from internal combustion engine, that is an engine which used fuel such as diesel, petrol, gas, etc. in order to burn it and derive energy from it, to electric vehicles which would be using batteries in order to get the desired power. This proposal by Niti Aayog has been called unrealistic and ill-timed by the automobile industry of India. Well, it has said that it is already reeling under stress because of the low sales and such a drastic transition can add to its stress. Whereas Niti Aayog has said that a positive cooperation from this industry would help in smooth transition from internal combustion engine to electric vehicles. These talks about transition towards electric vehicles is not new in our country. It was in the year 2015 that FAME India scheme was launched. Well, it relates to faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. Well, as the name indicates, this scheme was basically focused on this transition from internal combustion engine to electric vehicles in India. Recently, the Union government has come up with FAME India schemes phase 2. It was in February 2019 that Union Cabinet approved the proposal for the implementation of phase 2 of FAME scheme, which is an expanded version of the present scheme, that is FAME India scheme phase 1. The main objective of the scheme is to encourage faster adoption of electric and hybrid vehicles in India. Well, in order to achieve this objective, it would be focusing mainly on upfront incentives on the purchase of electric vehicles. They can be related to reduced road tax and other such charges which are applicable. At the same time, by establishing necessary infrastructure related to charging of these vehicles. Well, this charging infrastructure is very important for such vehicles. A very good example is such charging infrastructure which has been implemented by Tesla in USA. Well, Tesla is a big company owned by Elon Musk which produce very fine quality of electric vehicles. In this backdrop, Let's focus on a report which was recently published by Niti Aayog in collaboration with Rocky Mountain Institute. Well, Rocky Mountain Institute is a global non-profit organization which focus in the general field of sustainability. Well, it was based on various opportunities for automobile sector as well as government under FAME 2 scheme. It was titled India's Electric Mobility Transformation, Progress to Date and Future Opportunities, where on one hand it quantified direct oil and carbon savings that it would deliver. On the other hand, it also highlighted if the scheme is implemented properly, then it would increase the sale of electric vehicles. Well, no doubt that if various incentives that are promised are given to the customers and at the same time a proper charging infrastructure is provided, it would definitely lead to the increase in sales of such electric vehicles. Last but not the least, it would generate cumulative savings of 846 million tons of carbon dioxide. Well, it would happen because internal combustion engine produced a lot of carbon dioxide through their emissions, and electric vehicles won't be releasing such emissions into the atmosphere. Now, talking of the way forward, the automobile industry has to play a very important role in this transition. What it can do is it can collaborate with battery industry, and in that way it can promote domestic manufacturing of such electric vehicles. At the same time, it may promote new business models, conduct research and development for electric vehicles and various components associated with it, and at the same time it can also consider various new business models which are suitable for such electric vehicles. Moreover, government should also focus on phased manufacturing plan to promote electric vehicles by providing various fiscal as well as non-fiscal incentives for phased manufacturing of electric vehicles and batteries. So now government has to act as a facilitator in order to provide various benefits to not only the electric vehicles manufacturers but also to the manufacturers of batteries. Here we have this news item which appears on page number 1 titled President's Rule for 6 More Months in Jammu and Kashmir. This topic is important from prelims point of view under Indian polity and from mains point of view under General Studies paper 2. The topics are Indian Constitution, functions and responsibility of union and state, and other related dimensions. Well, the article basically focuses on two dimensions. Firstly, it talks about Lok Sabha clearing Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Bill of 2019. Secondly, it is regarding extension of President's rule in Jammu and Kashmir for another period of 6 months. We would be focusing on both the dimensions separately. Recently, Lok Sabha cleared the Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Amendment Bill of 2019. It would be replacing an ordinance which was issued by previous government. It provided for amendments to be made in Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Act of 2004. Well, this Act of 2004 provided for reservations in appointment, admission in various institutes to the members of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and other socially and educationally backward classes for the people living along actual line of control. However, the reservation benefits were not extended to the people who were residing in the areas adjoining international border. So, this Amendment Bill of 2019 has now brought people residing in the areas adjoining international border within the ambit of reservation, which is now at par with the people living in areas adjoining actual line of control. So, in a nutshell, earlier only people adjoining actual line of control were given these benefits. However, now people who are living in areas adjoining international border will also be given such benefits. Now, we shall be focusing on President's rule in Jammu and Kashmir and various provisions related to it. When it comes to the President rule in the Union of India, except Jammu and Kashmir, we talk about Article 356. However, it is not the same in the case of Jammu and Kashmir. Let's see the basic timeline, how the things have happened so that you have a proper clarity on this topic. Initially, there was a coalition government by BJP and PDP in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. However, when the BJP withdrew its support in June 2018, there was invocation of Section 92 by Governor of Jammu and Kashmir. It was because of the inability of any political party to form a stable government in Jammu and Kashmir. Governor of Jammu and Kashmir dissolved State Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir because there was a chance of horse trading and lack of stability to form the government. Section 92 of the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir relates to the provisions in case of failure of constitutional machinery in the state. Well, the Jammu and Kashmir has a separate constitution, and according to it, in the cases relating to failure of constitutional machinery in the state, 6 months of governor's rule is compulsory under section 92 of this constitution, and only after this time has elapsed, the imposition of president's rule under article 356 of Indian constitution can be done. Well, after this 6-month period expired in December 2018, the president rule came into place. And now, when it has elapsed, the Union Cabinet of the Government of India has extended President's rule in Jammu and Kashmir for another period of 6 months, which would begin from 3rd July. In this regard, recently the Home Minister of India introduced a bill in the Parliament. Here you have various prelims questions for practice, which we would be discussing after a gap of 5 seconds. Now the first question reads, consider the following statements regarding Titan. The statement is, it is the moon of Saturn, which is true. The second is, it is the largest natural satellite in the solar system, which is incorrect, as it is the moon of Jupiter, Ganymede, which is the largest moon in the solar system. Hence, the answer is A, that is 1 only. The next question reads, Kartik month from the Hindu calendar overlap with which of the following months from Gregorian calendar? Well, the answer, as we've already discussed there, is C. That is, it would be overlapping October and November of Gregorian calendar. Next question is, with reference to Varkari sect, consider the following statements. The first statement is, they worship Lord Shiva. It is wrong, as we have talked about, that they worship Vithala, who is incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Hence, they are Vaishnavites, not Shaivites. The next statement is, they are associated with the Indian state of Maharashtra, which is true. Hence, the answer is B, that is 2 only. The last question reads, Fame India scheme aims to achieve which of the following objective? First statement is, transition to solar power, which is not correct. Next is, transition from thermal to hydro, again incorrect. The third reads, transition to electric vehicles, which is correct. Hence, the answer is C. This brings us to the end of today's discussion. Now let's move to the question of the day.